Welcome to our long-term review of the Tobacco Maverick boots. I'm going to go through the construction, the materials, and my impression of how these fit and what it's like to ride in them. So you may be asking yourself, who is this guy and what's his opinion worth? Well, that's an excellent question. I worked in the motorcycle apparel industry for a number of years. I have specifically developed and designed motocross boots, street shoes. I've been around a little bit, so I can authoritatively tell you how these are made, what the construction materials are like, and what it's like to use these. So I've had them for 2 years now. So these boots, material-wise, let's go through that first. So the leather is particularly thick. It's an 80 thousandths thick cowhide. It's top grain, and that makes a big difference. At least it does to me, and it should to you as well. There's going to be some potential drawbacks, but I think more advantages to that. So this is the natural hide, the way it comes off the cow. And the difference, you might be asking yourself, what does that mean exactly? Why is that different than any other leather? Most leathers used on boots, jackets, what have you, is actually a fake grain. It is stamped into the leather to hide any scars that might have been on the cowhide initially. And then it is covered with a PU coating, which has the color in it. So what you're looking at is actually plastic on most of those leathers. Even for some very expensive leather pieces, they will have a PU coating on them, and that preserves the look a bit. It makes it look more uniform, but it is fake. And what you don't get with something like that is the patina that comes over time with a broken-in product. And for some manufacturers, they don't think that's desirable. Personally, I love it, especially for this style of product. Once you get those wear marks, those darkened, those lightened areas, that tells the story of your product. It adds a certain legitimacy to it, and I personally appreciate that. I love the patina aspect to it. So if you do too, keep watching, because this is an excellent product to represent that. So further into the construction, this has a Goodyear welt, and that's not really common knowledge of how things are made. Most boots use a bonded sole. Running shoes use a bonded sole. That's fine, but they're not gonna last as long. So the construction method of this is this welt here, this piece of leather that goes all the way around. And you can see the end of it right there. The upper is below this welt, and the hardened sole underneath, the base layer there, if you will, is all sewn together around the outside, which has a couple of benefits. One, water repellency is excellent because of that. There's no way for water to get underneath and inside. It all has to run off the outside. Secondly, and very importantly, if you want to replace these soles, you could just take it to your cobbler. These boots wear out on the bottom, and they will eventually, because the upper is so nice. You might want to have these resoled at your cobbler. Not a problem. You can take it to him. He can bond on the new sole, and you're good to go. You haven't lost anything. You've kept your patina. You've kept your investment in the upper, which is an excellent quality, and you can move on. Speaking of the sole, these are a Vibram sole, excellent traction. So putting your foot down, I have not had mine slip. Even on gravel, when you have to pull over to the side or you're pulling into a driveway that might not be too nice, I've never slipped with these. I have total confidence when I put my foot down that my foot is going to stay firmly planted. The downside to it is if you ride in a more sporting way where you put the ball of your feet on the pegs, that traction is going to stay on those pegs. So if you're like me and you start getting into the twisties and wanting to hang off a bit and rotate the ball of your feet on those pegs, these can lock in from time to time. And I've tweaked my knee a little bit as a result of that, so I kind of have to check myself, think about that. If you're someone who constantly keeps his pegs in this area up to the heel, there is no problem whatsoever with that. They are going to stay firmly planted, and because it does have a decent heel, you know exactly where your peg is. So you can lock in there and not have that issue. Just be advised, if you do like to turn on the end of your pegs, this is not a great sole for that. All right, moving further into the construction on these. These are reinforced in a number of areas. So the heel counter is particularly sturdy, as is the toe. So crushing these areas is going to take some doing. I feel completely safe, toe and heel, on these boots. And also the ankle protection. So the malleolus is the part of your ankle that protrudes, and it does so on the lateral side, it does it on the medial side. The Tobacco Maverick boots have you covered there. There is a sturdy, what I assume is plastic piece just underneath the leather. It's not plainly visible, which I like. I like that it's hidden there, but it is there, and it's backed with foam. And it's a slow rebound foam, which makes it more comfortable. And that foam wraps around the edge. It's easy to make a mistake there, maybe cut your foam a little too small, and then that plastic edge digs into you. That is not the case with these. These are very, very comfortable. I don't even notice the ankle protection when I'm wearing these, and that's a great thing. All right, so as we go inside the boot here, I will pull these out. There is an insole inside. It has a good degree of cushioning to it. These are fairly thick. I would say probably a little over ½ an inch thick at the heel, and a good amount of cushioning, which is nice for a relatively heavy product like this. But these don't need to be worn in there. So if you have a wider foot, I have a double E width, so it's not a super wide foot, but it's not your typical foot either. If I'm wearing a thicker sock, I'll take these out and I'm still comfortable. Not quite as comfortable, but still comfortable, because the footbed is finished on these. So there is leather on the footbed as well, and there is some degree of cushioning inside, and I believe, in accordance with the Goodyear construction on the outside, that there is likely cork inside here. And the great thing about that is it molds to your foot over time. So as you're using them, and it's a cold day, or maybe your foot has a lot of volume to it, not a lot of length, take these out, and over time, these become more comfortable as well. It's a really, really nice feature to these. So, these are legit boots. All right. In the back, we have a pull-up strap. You're definitely going to need that, because there is some break-in period to these boots. I use these definitely to get the boots on, especially for the first half dozen times. There was no getting these on, no matter how loose the laces were, for me personally, without using these. So you're going to be thankful they're there. So speaking of that break-in, with this genuine leather and being as thick as it is, these are pretty stiff when they first come. You're not going to hop in these and think that you've had them forever, because, like I said before, they're legitimate. You haven't had them forever. They're going to be stiff, and they're going to be uncomfortable if your experience is anything at all like mine, because of that. There is no flexibility that's going to happen there. Over time, they do break in. I would say I noticed them being excessively stiff for probably the first 4 rides that I was on. And that includes walking around from time to time. By about the 6th ride, they were broken in. And I really appreciate that. There is, a little bit of grief period to breaking in a boot like this, but it's well worth it. In my opinion, things that break in quickly break down quickly. And this is not something that's going to break down. This is made to last, in my opinion. All right, so one of the last features to it, not that critical in my personal opinion. These laces are retroreflective. The cool thing about them, they don't look retroreflective. They don't look like a piece of safety gear, but they do have that added aspect for you. In my personal opinion, again, really not that important that your boot have some retroreflective to it. That could be taken, that role can be handled by things on your bike, like the lights, for instance, things on your jacket, but it's there. It's not hurting anything, that's for sure. All right, the sizing on these come in a 7 through 12 with all the half sizes in between. They also come in a 12, 13, 14, and 15. So they got you covered on most of the sizes there, I'll say. So my personal opinion, I really love these boots. I had heard some early production errors had occurred with them. This is relatively early production as well. This is from April 21. But in my 2 years, they've been completely solid, completely durable. So I will vouch for this. This is recommended gear as far as I'm concerned. And if you want to check them out, go to the tobaccomotorwear.com website. They got some specs there. There are 2 colors that this comes in. The amber color, you got to get the amber color, really. If you want the patina and you love the patina, get the amber. But they also have a matte black as well. If you're into the all black look, those would be for you. So check them out. I recommend it.